The sun was just beginning to dip behind the dusty Texas hills as my truck rumbled down the gravel road. I hadn't been back to the ranch in a while, months, maybe even longer. Work had kept me busy on the East Coast. Meetings, lawsuits, HOA reforms, all of it. But today, I just wanted to sit on my porch, drink a cold one, and breathe the air of home. The ranch gate creaked open as I entered the property, still exactly how I left it. Oak trees swaying gently in the wind, horses grazing near the barn, the wooden sign that read, Iron Rock Ranch hanging proud above the arch. I pulled up to the house, stepped out, boots hitting the dirt with a thud. But something felt off. Parked in front of my property, on my land, was a luxury white SUV, not a truck. Not a ranch hand's pickup. A pristine Lexus, gleaming like it had never seen a dirt road in its life. I raised an eyebrow. Before I could step onto the porch, the door to the SUV swung open. Out stepped her. Blonde, mid-50s, hair perfectly styled, sunglasses perched high on her head. Her white linen pants looked like they'd never touched a drop of dust. And her expression? Somewhere between confusion, disgust, and superiority. She held up a hand like a traffic cop. "Excuse me," she barked. "This is private property." I blinked. "Yeah," I said, "I know." She tilted her head, offended. "Then why are you here?" I looked around, at the land, the barn, the horses, the ranch house I'd built with my own hands. "Because I own it." She scoffed. "Highly unlikely." I chuckled. "Well, highly unlikely or not, I do. Name's right there on the deed." That's when I saw the clipboard in her hand. A clipboard. On my land. "You with the county?" I asked. "I'm with the HOA," she snapped. Now I was really confused. "There's no HOA out here," I said. "This is unincorporated land." She narrowed her eyes. "We recently expanded our jurisdiction. I'm the interim president for the Regional Beautification Committee. Your fencing, your barn color, even the number of animals you keep, all of that now falls under our review." I nearly laughed. "You serious?" I asked. "Deadly," she said. She actually believed she had authority here. Then she pulled out her phone. "If you're not going to leave, I'll call the sheriff." "You're welcome to," I said. "Want me to dial for you?" She hesitated. That's when her husband stepped out of the SUV, thin, balding, polo shirt tucked into khakis like he was headed to a golf course, not standing in the middle of a working ranch. "Is there a problem, honey?" he asked, putting an arm around her. "This man claims he owns the property," she huffed. "He's trespassing." I sighed. "I've got the deed in my truck," I said. "Want me to show you?" "No," she snapped. "I want you off the property." I crossed my arms. "Ma'am, I don't know where you're from, but out here, we don't make threats on other people's land." She pulled out her phone and dialed. I let her. 5 minutes later, a county sheriff cruiser pulled up. Lights on, engine humming. The deputy stepped out. Young guy, maybe late 20s. He looked from me to her, confused. "She's claiming I'm trespassing," I said, before he could speak. The deputy scratched his head. "On Iron Rock Ranch?" "Yep," I said. "Got my ID and deed if you want to see 'em." She interrupted, flustered. "This land is now under HOA Oversight. I don't care what deed he has. This is about community standards." The deputy turned to her. "Ma'am, this isn't a subdivision. There's no HOA jurisdiction here." Her face turned red. But he has too many animals. And that barn is an eyesore." The deputy tried not to laugh. "You called us over a barn and horses?" She threw up her hands. "This is a disgrace." Then came the moment. The deputy looked at me. "Wait a minute. You're not, are you?" I nodded. "Yeah, I'm Sam Garrison." His eyes widened. "The National Director of HOA Compliance?" "Guilty as charged," I said. The woman's jaw dropped. Her husband looked like he wanted to melt into the ground. "You oversee every HOA in the country," the deputy said. "Not every single one," I replied. "But enough to know when someone's full of it." I turned to the Karen. "You're not just trespassing," I said. "You're impersonating authority. There's no HOA out here. You made that up." Her lips quivered. "I suggest you get off my property," I said, "before I have to report you." She opened her mouth, then closed it. Her husband nudged her toward the car. They got in. The Lexus peeled away, tires kicking up dust. The deputy laughed. "Never thought I'd see the day." "Me neither," I said, "but I guess there's a first time for everything." I walked up to my porch, boots echoing on the wooden steps. I sat down, cracked open a beer, and watched the sun finish its descent behind the hills. Just another day at the ranch, but I had a feeling this wasn't the last I'd hear of HOA Karen. Not by a long shot. 3 days passed, quiet ones, peaceful. I spent time in the barn fixing hinges, fed the horses, checked fence lines. The ranch was breathing again, and so was I. But that calm didn't last. It never does with people like her. I was brushing down my horse, Copper, when I heard tires crunching gravel out front. I stepped out, wiping sweat off my brow with my sleeve. Same Lexus SUV, different attitude? This time she brought backup, another SUV behind her. Out stepped two men in slacks and button-ups, holding clipboards and trying way too hard to look official. One even wore a lanyard like he was FBI. Karen stormed up to my porch like she owned it. "You may have embarrassed me the other day," she began, "but I've filed a formal complaint. This land is subject to regional HOA policy under the Greater Texas Community Overlay Plan." I raised a brow. "That doesn't exist." She smirked. "Not yet, but I'm making it happen." The two men flanked her like awkward bodyguards. "We're from the Regional Standards Coalition," one said. I asked, "Which office?" He blinked. "Central. We coordinate oversight." "You have a license?" He fumbled. "We don't carry them on site." "I bet you don't," Karen pointed at my barn. "We're issuing a cease and desist. You're in violation of livestock density, signage regulation, and unapproved structural coloring." I almost choked laughing. "You're citing me over the color of my barn?" I asked. "It's supposed to be beige or taupe," she snapped. "Your red offends the visual harmony of this region." I whistled. "Lady, you are deep in a fantasy." I looked at the two men. "Gentlemen, you are impersonating regulatory agents. That's a federal crime. You have 10 seconds to get off my land before I call the U.S. Marshals." Karen laughed. "Empty threats. You think anyone believes you?" I pulled out my phone, dialed a number. A man answered. "McClellan," he said. "It's Sam. I've got impersonators out here claiming authority. Under a fake HOA. Need boots on the ground?" he asked. "Probably. You got it." I hung up. Karen blinked. "Who was that?" "Deputy Director of National HOA Affairs," I said. "He's sending agents." "You're bluffing." A black SUV pulled into the driveway, fast. Out stepped two men in tactical khakis with official patches and federal ID badges. One held up a file. "Karen Lancaster?" She stepped back. "How do you know my name?" "We've received reports of HOA fraud, illegal harassment, and impersonation of federal authority." Her face drained. "Please place the clipboard on the ground and keep your hands visible," the agent said. "You can't do this!" she screeched. But they could, and they did. The two fake officers dropped their clipboards and tried to slink away. One tripped. The other was already sweating through his shirt. The agent cuffed them both. Karen screamed, "I'm the president of the regional committee!" "No, ma'am," the agent replied, calm and cold. "You're the president of nothing." They placed her under arrest. Trespassing, impersonation, attempted coercion, and, my personal favorite, delusional abuse of authority. She cried. She wailed. She told them I had no right to call anyone. They asked who I was. I showed my ID. Sam Garrison, Director of Federal HOA Compliance and Oversight. Their jaws dropped. Again. One of the fake agents whispered, "You're him? From the hearing? The guy who shut down the Tri-County Syndicate?" "Yep," I said. Karen looked like she'd seen a ghost. "I didn't know," she mumbled. "You didn't care," I replied. She was loaded into the SUV. Neighbors came out to watch. One lady clapped. A kid rode by on a dirt bike and shouted, "Get wrecked, Karen!" It made my week. They drove off. And finally, peace returned. For now. 3 weeks passed. The dust had settled, or so I thought. Karen's arrest had made waves not just in Texas, but in every HOA circle across the country. Social media caught wind. Local news aired the footage. Even national outlets picked it up. HOA Karen arrested on ranch she didn't own, the headlines read. My inbox flooded with messages. Some from victims of HOA abuse. Others from long-retired board members who'd always dreamed of seeing someone like her held accountable. But it wasn't over. One morning I received a letter. Certified. Heavy envelope. Sealed in thick, pretentious wax. It was from Karen's lawyer. She was suing me for emotional distress, public defamation, unlawful detainment, and loss of reputation in elite HOA society. I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. The next day, I received another envelope, this time from the Department of Housing Integrity. Karen had launched a formal complaint against me through every bureaucratic channel she could find. The thing is, she didn't know I wrote half the rules those departments follow. I filed a counter. And then I did what she feared most. I requested a federal-level audit of her HOA history. Within 2 weeks, the results came in. And they weren't pretty. $275,000 in unauthorized purchases. Dozens of fake citations issued to minority homeowners. Misuse of community funds for personal vacations. An HOA slush fund hidden under a fake beautification committee. All under her name. She had built a kingdom of intimidation. Petty fines and fabricated rules. And now, it was crumbling. The DOJ launched an inquiry. Her husband filed for separation. Her neighbors submitted a petition to ban her from any future HOA involvement, signed by over 200 residents. And me? I kept fixing my fences, kept riding my horses, Until one afternoon, I received a call from the mayor of her hometown. "Mr. Garrison," he said, voice heavy, "on behalf of the city, I want to personally thank you for what you've done. That woman's held this community hostage for nearly a decade." I didn't respond. I let him speak. "She bullied retirees, overcharged single parents, had people evicted for Christmas lights, and no one could touch her until you did." "Just doing my job," I said. But it didn't stop there. I was invited to testify before the State Housing Reform Board and then the Federal Ethics Council. My ranch became the symbol of standing up to HOA tyranny. Journalists showed up, activists, even a documentary. Crew asked if they could film on site. I declined. I didn't need attention, but I did one thing. I wrote a letter to Karen. Just a few lines. "Your power was built on fear. Mine is built on the law. You mistook silence for weakness and control for respect. You tried to fake authority on the wrong land with the wrong man. Enjoy retirement." I never got a response, but I did hear what happened next. She moved to Florida, tried to start fresh in a gated golf course community, filed paperwork to form an HOA, and was immediately denied. Her name flagged in the national system, permanently disqualified from holding any position of authority in any housing association across the U.S., and that was the real victory. No more clipboards, no more fake citations. No more trespassing on land she never earned, just silence. And consequences. Months passed. The media cycle moved on. New stories came and went, but around here, Karen's name stuck like mud on boots. People spoke about her with a mix of disbelief and relief, like a storm that had finally passed. I didn't speak of her. Didn't need to. The land had its own way of healing. Grass regrew where her SUV had dug ruts. The horses stopped flinching every time an unfamiliar car pulled up. The quiet came back. And with it peace. One evening, I sat on my porch. Same rocking chair. Same glass of cold sweet tea. The Texas sun stretched low across the hills, painting everything gold. A breeze carried the scent of fresh hay and mesquite. And for the first time in a long time, I breathed without thinking about oversight, hearings, or legal filings. Just the sound of cicadas. And the wind. A truck pulled into the driveway. Not Karen's, thank God. It was Elena, one of the few local residents who had stood up to Karen before. She stepped out with a basket in her hand. "Peach cobbler," she said. "Thought you earned it." I smiled. "You didn't have to." She shrugged. "You stood up for all of us." Thought it was the least I could do. We sat for a while, talked about horses, the drought, nothing heavy. But then she said something I'll never forget. "You didn't just stop her. You reminded people they still have rights, even when someone with a clipboard tells them otherwise." That stuck with me, because it wasn't about Karen. Not really. It was about every Karen. Every petty tyrant, every self-appointed ruler who forgets that authority isn't given by ego, it's earned by service. It's about every family fined for leaving their trash bins out 5 minutes too long, every parent threatened for building a swing set, every elderly couple harassed over the shade of their shutters. I didn't set out to be anyone's hero, but sometimes standing your ground is all it takes. So to anyone listening, to every person who's ever been bullied by bureaucracy, strong-armed by a false sense of power, or made to feel small on land they worked hard for. Remember this, your voice matters. Your truth holds weight. And the moment you stop letting fear silence you, bullies lose their power. Karen thought her HOA title gave her the right to rule. She didn't realize I helped write the rules. Now, I still get letters, emails, stories from people across the country who say, "Because of your story, I stood up. I fought back, and I won." And every time I read one, I smile, because it means something's changing. Not fast,